All right, I think we can slowly start. And before I get into my presentation on how to not get hacked and how we can build up cyber resilience for high-risk users at UNECA, I want to hand over to two great people that are joining us today for some opening remarks. The first one is Victor Conde from the UNECA Scientific Affairs Officer, and he's at the Division of Technology, Innovation, and Connectivity. He is speaking first, and then Prinsilia from Google, from the public policy team, will also say a few things, and then we can really get going. Victor, the stage is yours first.
Well, hopefully you can see me. Thank you very much. Well, just to say on behalf of ECA and my colleagues from our team, we just want to thank everyone that has joined us today. In particularly, I think Nicholas Muller from Possible, who's will be conducting the training today, for, I think, putting together this training. But I also want to just underscore that this is part of our partnership with Google that we have now been working on together for several years. We've done training for policymakers, and now we are doing, I think, training for also ECA staff on several other areas around digital. And today, I think it's a subject that is close to all of our hearts, considering that our lives online actually are now basically all around the clock. You may actually be asleep, but your phone is not. You may be asleep, in fact, you may be asleep, but your bank is not. So I was laughing yesterday that I transferred money from Switzerland to Lusaka, and before the Swiss bank told me the money is gone, the bank in Lusaka said they received it. Just tells you how quickly I think the world is moving. So in a way, we are all kind of get a little worried about issues around security. And so this is really perhaps good for all of us to catch up again, learn some of the risks and how we can actually improve, not just for our work, but also for ourselves as people. So on that note, maybe I'll stop here. I think you all came to listen to someone else, not me. I'll hand back to Nicholas. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Victor, but I will hand over to Prinsilia before I really get into things. I think she has also a few things to say, but also, yeah, thank you for the words.
Thanks, Nicholas, and thank you, Victor. Hello, everyone, distinguished colleagues from the UN Economic Commission for Africa, esteemed partners from the Google Safety Engineering Center and Possible Digital. Most importantly, all of our ECA staff that are here today joining us. Welcome and thank you so much for being here. My name is Prinsilia Boagay. I lead Google's Pan-African institutions engagements across the continent, which means I lead our collaboration with ECA. And I'm delighted to be joining you virtually from our offices actually in Nairobi, right next door. I look forward to coming to Addis, to ECA headquarters, actually on November 17th, where hopefully we'll get to meet some of you in person. We have a strong partnership that has been in place now for about 2 years with ECA. And ECA is one of our most strategic and vital partners across the continent. Our partnership is anchored on a shared vision for a digitally empowered and secure continent built upon key pillars, including digital infrastructure, data-driven innovation, capacity building, and cybersecurity. We are immensely proud of the concrete successes that we've achieved through this strategic cooperation. A prime example is some of the AI skilling that we've been able to provide. Some of you who've participated in the other skilling courses that we've offered throughout the year. But we also deliver AI and robotics training to our youth, to students across Africa. Some more than 9,000 students have been targeted and benefited from our collaboration. Today, we are pivoting our attention to the critical pillar of cybersecurity. Like Victor mentioned, we are all vulnerable. Your presence here confirms that you have an understanding that digital security is not just the responsibility of your IT department, right? It's a core responsibility for every individual working in public service and international organizations. I am a former public servant, and we know that there are a lot of threats and we are often targets, right? You are high-risk users because of the access to critical and sensitive information that you work with. But we don't want to make this scary. We want this session to be practical, collaborative, intentional, and non-technical. So our goal here is simply to demystify cybersecurity, give you some practical tools, and really hoping that you engage to get the most out of this training as possible. So again, we want to thank you. Cybersecurity and making sure that there's a robust digital ecosystem is a core part of how we operate across the continent. Making sure that we are responsible partners in the digital ecosystem and building a secure AI framework across Africa. You can feel free to reach out to Nicholas, to myself, or to Bata and Makhtar, who are our liaisons, and Victor, who collaborate with us. If you have any further questions on what we can do together or how we can be helpful, we always welcome your feedback, and enjoy the training.
Thank you very much, Prinsilia. Thank you very much, Victor, as well. And as you already said, Prinsilia, please come forward with any questions. Just be able to share them in chat. We will have time at the end where you can also take time for questions. So you have the chance to unmute yourself and ask the question personally if you want to. And I think Victor said some very good and very wise things. I think the topic is very dear to our heart, very close to our heart, but our phones are not sleeping, and that's true. But Prinsilia also mentioned that we don't want to be in fear, right? We don't want to scare you. We don't. That's not the topic today. That's not the goal for today. We want to demystify. We want to give you practical tips on how to identify the most common threats. We want to identify how we can spot them, how we can protect ourselves as well. This is the big second part where we will look at easy steps how we can protect ourselves. So we believe that a small behavioral change can already have a huge impact in our cyber safety, cyber security. But enough on that. Who am I? Just one more second on that, and then we are done with introductions here. I'm Niklas Mührer. I work for Possible Digital, a Berlin, Germany-based company, and we are in the intersection between the public sector and the tech world, and we try to bring them together. And this is why we are doing these trainings. We do these trainings together with the Google Safety Engineering Center, and we have been doing them for 3 years now, for around 3 years. And so we have a bit of experience on that, and can guide you through the next approximately 45 minutes, and then we have time for a question, as I said. So we all mentioned it already. Victor also said it. Cyber attacks and phishing are on the rise. It's a topic that we have to talk about, that we have to get awareness about. I brought a couple of news outlets that basically say the same, right? The ADF is saying the continent experienced a sharp rise in cybercrime. There is an alarm on AI-driven cybersecurity threats becoming more and more prevalent. Interpol is also alarming, as saying there's a huge cybercrime surge in East Africa. So everyone is talking about it, so we are doing it too. And I could obviously be somewhere else. Like, this topic is important for everyone in our society. But I came to you today, right, to staff of UNECA, and I think there are 2 reasons why I'm standing in front of you today. And I want to present them to you one by one. This is the first reason. There has been, as you can see here on this small graph, I see a drastic increase, and what we see here is a sharp increase in politically motivated cyber incidents since 2020. So since the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a steep incline in that. And I know not all of you are obviously politicians, but you live and work in the political sphere as a part of administration and part of an international organization. So this means that you are a high target, a high risk target. People are trying to breach you, trying to breach your organization. Criminals want your data, want to use you as an access point, and we are trying to prevent that today. So this is the one reason. You are a person in the political sphere that is high risk. The other reason is how the cyber threat landscape all over Africa looks like at the moment. As we said, it's on the rise. Everyone is talking about it. It's all over the news. But here are some numbers to back that a bit. So 1 out of 3 crimes, 30% in Western and Eastern Africa, are cyber crimes. And the most common one is phishing, followed by ransomware and business email compromises. Also, the number of scam notifications is drastically rising. As you can see, it's 3,000% in the past year, so a drastic incline. Another problem or another factor is that most or a lot of countries are mobile first, and that means malware has an easy way in and gets spread very easily. And connects to that, a lot of organizations have a bring your own device policy or culture at work, which means that your private phones might be infected, and they inject the malware into our organizations. So that's also another risk. So we have the political component. You are a high-risk user by default already because you're working for an international organization, and then we have the specific threats in Africa, which makes it even more important that I'm standing in front of you today. And I brought an example that probably most of you have already seen. Have you seen such a message before? I will read it out. 1 minute. This is something that comes up in Kenya, for example, quite a lot, but also in other countries in East Africa connected to M-Pesa, so the payment service that is used in a lot of countries. Dear customer, we've detected suspicious activity on your M-Pesa account. Please confirm your account by replying the 6-digit code we sent to you. So this is just a very random scam that comes via text message all the time, and they obviously try to do a SIM swap here and try to get onto your M-Pesa account. But these very small attacks can be the opening to an attack on your organization. So if you as a person, as an individual are not safe, your organization is also not safe. So we keep this example in mind because this is a very, very typical thing that we see quite a lot. I already mentioned that. What do we want to learn today? I want you to feel a bit safer on the internet today. We want to recognize, as I said, the most common threats and how we are not pressured and fall for them. And then we want to look at how we can protect ourselves. And these are the steps we're going to take. First, we look at the common threats. Then we look at how we can protect ourselves. And lastly, because you are high-risk users, we have a special part where we will talk about advanced security models that you can activate, that you can use to be even more secure. But let's start at the beginning with the common threats and how to spot them. We have this small framework that I want to show you with the 3 critical dimensions for online safety, online security. And all of these 3 triangles inside of the triangle signal a dimension that can be our own way to security, but also a danger or also a way to attack us. First one on top is the user behavior in gold. So basically security through our actions as a user, how we behave through emotions, but also on the other hand, that people use us and the human factor as a way into our accounts, into our organizations. Then secondly, at the bottom right, in green, the online accounts. So this can be saving our email accounts, our collaboration tools. What is a good password would be interesting here. But also on the other hand, if we talk about how it can be breached, how people breach our accounts, right? How they get into these accounts. And last but not least, on the bottom left in purple, we will talk about devices and software. So we have to keep them safe as well to have the rest safe, right? We have to use software updates, security updates, and increase the security of our software, because otherwise there will be malware that can also infect our organization, infect our devices. So with that in mind, these 3 things, user behavior, online accounts, and the devices and software, we'll jump into the first part. And as you see, there's a lot on the slide right now, but we clustered the 3 triangles into different categories. And first, we will talk about the common threats. And I said later, we will talk about protection. And threats, there are many threats out there, right? We could talk about a data breach or a leak. We could talk about shared credential or no access control, about malware, spyware, ransomware. But for now, I think as already mentioned by Prinsilia, we are a non-technical training, so we will mostly focus on user behavior. And as you see in orange, these are the topics we want to talk about. We will talk about phishing messages, how to spot it. Then we will talk about impersonation, which is a special form, an upgraded form of phishing. And then we will talk about credential stuffing before we get to protection measures. Let's start at the top with phishing, because it's the most important one and the most common one as well. As we said, this is the #1 cyber threat that is among us, basically, not in Africa, but globally. But what is it? I think most people have an idea already, but I want to get on the same page as well. I will just read out the definition real quick, and then we can move on from there. Phishing is a form of cybercrime where attackers impersonate trusted entities to obtain sensitive information, such as login credentials or financial data. So basically, someone is pretending to be someone, and they want our login. That's basically what it is, or they want financial data. And how do they do it? What's the method? So there are 2 dimensions in this method. Firstly, they will make it look very real. So this is visual confusion. So a website looks exactly like a fake website looks exactly like the real one. Someone pretends to be, for example, Google. You will get an example for that in a second, so you can imagine how it looks like. This is the first thing. Something is visually confusing. Something looks very real. The other thing is emotional manipulation. So there are different tactics. There's different emotions scammers and criminals use to manipulate you here, always with the goal to steal money and use information for criminal practices. Before we dive into examples on how, for example, a fake website looks like or how emotions can be used, I have a question for you. What do you think? What percentage of online attacks start with phishing? I told you it's the most common one, but please use the chat function and just type in what you think. What's the percentage of online attacks that start with phishing? Okay, we have above 80, 30, 60. All pretty good guesses already. 80. It's scarily accurate. It's actually 79%, so you were quite close mostly. So 79, so basically 4 out of 5 of the online attacks start via phishing. So it's quite high, but you seem to be a very informed audience. If you already have an idea that it's 80%, very, very good. I brought some more numbers on phishing that I want to present you real quick that I think make sense to show here. Because in general, we said it's quite common that it happens. Every second email, basically 45%, that was globally sent in 2023 was spam. So there's a lot of useless and criminal emails in here. We talked about the 79%. So these successful takeovers were starting with phishing accounts, phishing attempts. Out of these 79%, 83, and this is for me a very shocking number when I first heard it, overcame multi-factor authentication. So quite a lot of people think they are safe as soon as they activate, for example, an SMS code, a text message code, or something else. But a large number of multi-factor authentication, gets overthrown. We will get to phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication in a second. But one more number I wanted to show you is the 3 billion that was lost to scammers in the past 6 years in Africa. So basically, we have a large number of attempts, mostly phishing. Most of them overcome two-factor or multi-factor authentication, and then a lot of money is lost. So that's why I'm basically here, and that's why we are talking today. Especially for you as an international organization, it's very important because there's a lot on the line, of course. We talked about numbers now, but now we really want to get into examples. And I brought this, to be fair, very hard example. I think it's a very difficult one on visual confusion. So I said one of the things scammers do is they will make a fake website that looks very real. On this example, we have two side-by-side examples of the email provider Email Online. We made that up. And we have to do a two-step verification here. Looks quite similar. And I want from you now to say, examine it very closely, take maybe 30 seconds, examine it very closely, and then tell me if the left is fake or the right is fake. One of them are fake, one of them is real. Right is fake. It was fast. What do the other things? Very good. Someone says A. Second one is fake. Okay. You were correct. Very, very good. Let me show you why. I think we already had it in the chat, so it really seems that we have professionals here that we're already looking at the URL at the address. They both look very real, and I think there are very, very marginal differences here. But you are very correct. If you look at the URL and left and right, on the left, which one is the real one? It says account.emailonline.com/sign-in and so on. And the fake one says accounts.emailonline.com https://com.tk. So it kind of looks similar, but it really isn't, right? But if you are in a rush, this might not matter to you. And that's the second component, right? Of course, when you know that you have to look at it, you will find this. But emotions are also a problem. There are basically 4 emotions that are mostly used for phishing. First one is urgency. Someone pressures you, act now or lose out. You will be locked out if you don't act fast. Second one, fear. People are trying to scare us. You will lose your account. You will lose money. You will lose a lot of money. Your organization is compromised. So they will play with fear as well and scare you. Second is trust. They will impersonate someone. They say, I am the police. I am a very serious website. I am your boss also. We'll get to that in a second when we talk about impersonation in a bit more detail. And lastly, greed, right? You've won a prize. You get an expense trip paid to somewhere. You are about to win an iPhone or an Android phone. So the combination between these two makes it so dangerous, between the emotional manipulation and the visual confusion. And we have an example as well for the emotional manipulation. So as you can see here, there's so I can tell you right now, this is fake, but it looks very real, right? So in Gmail, we got an email by someone that pretends to be Google. And they say someone has your password and is trying to sign into your Google account. Google stopped the sign-in attempt. You should change your password immediately and then change password. So we have it all here, right? We have urgency, change your password immediately. You have to act very fast. Then we have fear. Someone's using your account. Someone has your password. You will lose your account here if you not act fast. And also trust. Someone is pretending to be Google. Someone is impersonating that they are Google, which they are obviously not here. But yeah, this is also the example for the other side. But here we have it both together. And now we learned the visual confusion and the emotional manipulation. And I want you now to figure out with me, with what you just learned, if this is a real email or not, if this is a phishing attempt or legitimate. And we go through top to bottom. First of all, Luke Johnson wrote us an email with the department budget of 2024. And he says, hey there, here's the doc you asked for. Let me know if there's anything else you need. First of all, we should start thinking about, do we know Luke Johnson? That's maybe the first question. Is that someone that works in our department? Is that someone who works in our company? Have we ever heard of Luke Johnson? For the sake of argument, let's say we know that person. It's a real person, and he writes us this message. Secondly, we could look at the address, right, at the sender. So we see the email address is luke.jason8000@gmail.com. So we don't really know. one more thing that we can do is we can hover over this open link, right? They want us to click on open, and we will see this is the link that we would click on if we would click it, that we land on if we would click it. So we see at the link, it's drive-google.com/Luke Johnson. What do you think? Is this fake or is this legitimate? From what you see right now. Can type in the chat again. So Norma says fake, legit. Okay, we have it both here, legit and fake. So I think this is a very elaborate, so I will solve it now. This is actually phishing, but it's a very elaborate phishing attempt because we know Luke Johnson. He's a person that works in our department maybe. It looks like someone is using Google here. This is actually a part of the Google phishing quiz you can maybe do if you want to train a bit more. But this is a very, very hard attempt, a very, very elaborate attempt here, because everything is correct, but the link, because drive.google is not the website of Google Drive, which we could find out if we did a quick Google search and try to find out which is the official URL of Google Drive. But that's very, very elaborate, and that's a case of impersonation. Which brings me to my next topic, and I want to talk about that a bit more. So impersonation is just phishing, but a bit better, a bit evolved, because a specific person or someone pretends to be a specific person, can be your boss, your IT department, maybe a supplier or a colleague, just like here with Luke Johnson. And the rest is quite similar. Someone to start in with this. Impersonation is a type of targeted phishing attack where actors pretend to be someone else to steal sensitive data using social engineering tactics. So as I said, this sounds very similar to phishing because it is. But it's also important to know that this is evolving quite fast at the moment. So with GenAI, the scammers are also trying their best to make the scams even more believable, and that your boss is writing you at the right time. And deepfakes are a problem here as well. Someone just pretending to be someone is not as believable as if you already see the face of the person. So a deepfake is a video fake of a person. So the method here is the same thing. We deceive the victims by impersonating someone that we trust or that we believe has authority over us, like our boss, like the police. And this is a bit the difference here. We want to trick users into handing over sensitive data or performing unauthorized actions that we believe is authorized through the phishing, through the impersonation mail. And I have an example for that as well. So as you see on the left, you have the same emotions again. So this is very similar, the same emotions, and this also looks very real. We have an example of a email by our boss. Maybe we work at the Bluegate Bank, and our boss, Javier Hernandez, is texting us, "Hey Jeff, I know you're working from home today, but I hope you're online right now. I'm in a meeting with Tech Global's finance head, and it looks like we forgot to pay last month's invoice. Can you check on that? It was due yesterday, and they're pretty upset. Please make the payment immediately. Here are the banking details. I trust you. This is very urgent." So we have the same thing again, right? We have urgency. It was due yesterday. It's very urgent. We have fear. He says they are pretty upset, so they are not happy. Please make the payment immediately. And trust, right? Someone pretends to be our boss here, our boss Javier, and from Bluegate Bank, and we have it all, right? And if our boss really exists, or this is really our boss, and we get this message, at least I would be very confused at first, or at least I wouldn't be sure if this is a real email or not. And this makes it very hard. And in the future, this will be with GenAI or deepfake, this will be even harder to spot. Before we come to protection measures, I want to talk about credential stuffing really quick. And this is also part of user behavior, but it kind of leans into a more technical thing. Credential stuffing, let me just get the definition up here as well, is a cyber attack where hackers use stolen usernames and passwords to test them across multiple websites to find additional accounts that can be accessed with the stolen credentials. So basically, you have an online credential, you have a password somewhere and an email address. It gets leaked, and then it will automatically be tested on all other online accounts that exist. So they find out if you use the same password somewhere else. This might sound a bit confusing, but I have it here for you in a more visual way. So first, the account gets compromised, maybe in a data leak, or maybe even a very good password gets leaked, and we cannot do anything against that. It gets revealed to the internet. Someone is using a software, a machine, to automatically attempt access to other websites. So, for example, if we get the password, or someone gets the password from our email program, they try it for your socials or other online accounts. And then if you only have one password for everything, there's no coming back from that, right? Every account will be compromised, and you lose everything. You use your banking, you use your streaming platform, maybe your wallet, your social media accounts, everything that is protected by the same password. And there are obviously measures against that, like a password manager, which I will get to in a second. But yeah, make sure, and that's something I really hope that you don't do anyway, to not have one password for everything, but have one password per online account. All right, we are on our way to protect ourselves right now. We find out how to detect the most important and the most common threats. But now it's time to not only look at the bad things, but also look at how we can easily protect ourselves in this world that is evolving so fast, like Victor and Brasilia said. So there are also a lot of things we could look at, but we will mostly focus on user behavior. And then after that, we will look at multi-factor authentication and advanced security defaults that you can use. And let's start off with the user component again, like us as a human. What can we do? What can we do very easily? And I think the most important point is to build and maintain cyber awareness and to verify all sensitive requests thoroughly. Like always take a second. And I have like 3 very generic tips that you can incorporate in your daily life if you're not already doing that. First of them is to double check, always double check the sender, verify the domain, take the time, reverse Google the public domain, the email address. You can always find out if that's the real email address if you get a request from a strange email account that pretends to be someone. Secondly, call or confirm. It's always a good idea if you know the person and someone pretends to be someone to just reach out to your IT department, reach out to the person directly. So, for example, if your boss is apparently texting you about a payment that has to be done, just call him before you really do it, and never trust an email alone for payment, especially. And slow down, and I think this is very hard sometimes. As we said, urgency is one of the emotions that scammers are using, and it makes sense to get like this loop in your head to really pause before you click on something and think about what can happen, because these 30-second or even like 10-15-second pauses can save you and your company and your organization from very, very costly mistakes. And I also want to talk about the mobile first security habits in Africa in that context. Obviously, a lot of happens through the phone. So most scams will also come through text messages, through WhatsApp, and through in-app browsers. So always open sensitive links in a full browser, or retype, and that's even better, retype the known addresses if you know them, if you get an request. Then we had the M-Pesa example at the beginning. SIM swapping is a risk that is happening quite a lot. Never share your one-time codes with anyone. and if you can, activate SIM change pins. So with your mobile provider, if that's available. And we already mentioned that always conduct thorough checks if you do payments. As I said, you can call and confirm. You can take a minute, step back, and confirm it in another channel. But really important that you do it before you pay something from someone from one email alone. And now let's have a second and look at password hygiene, at a good password. What's a good password? And I have a small quiz for you again. We have 4 different passwords, and I would like you to rank them from strongest to weakest. You can just do it in chats, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 1, 3, whatever it is. What do you think is the strongest? Which one is the weakest for you? One is weak. Yeah, this is correct. Yeah. Bata says 1 and 2 and 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yeah, I think you got it. You're good at that. As obviously a password 1, 2, and my pet's name 1 are both not the strongest passwords, but we think we can take them away already. But these 2 are interesting, I think, because the second one obviously seems very, very, very safe, and it is because it's long, it has special characters, it has numbers, so it has everything. But also the third password is very safe. But the difference here, I wouldn't be able to remember the second one longer than maybe a day. But the third one is my boss is a great person. So like a sentence I could maybe remember. If your boss is a great person, that's the way to go. No, but what I mean by this is a passphrase. And a passphrase is basically a password, but it's something that you can remember, and that it makes easier to remember. And you just change a couple of letters with a special character or a number, or you put a dash in between, and you already have a great password if you do that, that you can remember way easier, that is also on a high security level. And then some generic tips, maybe not also that you probably know already on passwords and login safety. As I said, use a strong password. Passphrase is even better. Encourage you to figure one out. Also keep them secure. I know it's tempting to let your passwords be laying around somewhere, but it's not a good idea. Then thirdly, I want to highlight password managers. You can use them for increased safety and ease. I will get to that in 1 second, and we'll talk about a password manager a bit more. And then last but not least, combine your password or the passphrase with a second verification method. This can be a security key or a passkey. And we will also talk about that when we talk about higher security standards. But let's talk about a password manager real quick. So what a password manager basically does is it saves all your passwords, and you only need one master password every time you want to enter your credentials, for example, for your email account, for your Google account, I don't know what else. You can just enter it, and you only need the master password, and it will insert the password that is saved in the password manager. And this is fully encrypted and secure, and it's also usually already installed on your phones. So for Android phones, it's Google Password. It should be on your phone, and for Apple users, it's Apple Keychain. So it makes total sense to do that. So you can solve the problem with the credential stuffing, that you have only one password for all your accounts. This password manager solves this problem. You can just save your password somewhere, and you only need to remember one password that is very secure. All right, looking at the time, I want to jump to high-risk users now and multi-factor authentication. How do we know it's secure? So basically, it's also using multi-factor authentication methods to secure your password manager. So there's no way to breach that. It's unbreachable because you also need, if someone wants to breach your password manager, they will need a very long number, for example, or some other second factor that is not breachable that easily. So that's how it works basically, and no one can breach it from outside. But I already mentioned it, multi-factor also for password manager. So it's important to know that you are high-risk users, and because you are that, I have two things to offer for you. One of them is to urge you to activate multi-factor authentication, and the other one I will get to in a second. But here it's important to know that there are different security levels in multi-factor. As I said, 83% of all the phishing attempts overcame multi-factor authentication. And this is because it's a very weak multi-factor. For example, a text message or a backup code, as you can see on the right here. Maybe it's an app, but if you want a really phishing resistant multi-factor authentication, there are two ways you can do it. One is a security key, you see it on the left here, and the second is a pass key. And what are these two? So a security key is kind of is a USB stick. It's a physical component. This is basically what happens. You add a physical component to your login. It has NFC connectivity, so you can tap it on your phone, but you can also plug it into your laptop. And you have to approve every login attempt, basically, from this USB stick before you can do anything, before a scammer that has your password and your email address can access the account, and you will probably not let them, right? A passkey on the other side is kind of similar. The difference is here that the key is inside your phone. So basically, it's the same thing, but your phone is the key. So if someone is trying to access your account by kind of from a data leak, for example, they got your password and the email address, they will be able to, but then you will get a notification on your phone. Did you just log in? And then you can say yes if it was you and no if it wasn't you. And this is basically how the passkey works. So your phone becomes a physical key, basically. It's only do that on trusted devices, of course, but it's secured with biometrics as well. So it's the most secure thing together with a security key that you can offer. And it's quite easy to set up. You can just go to the multi-factor authentication settings in your accounts and then generate these virtual keys. And as I just said, it's just store it somewhere safe, but then it's always the same thing. You input the email address, the first factor, your password, and the second factor will be either the security key or the pass key. And depending what you use, there are different offerings for advanced security settings for high users. So this is the first thing. Sorry, I have to go back once here. So the first thing that I mentioned that you should do is multi-factor. And the second thing is to enroll to one of these advanced security offerings. And depending what you use, it's either be the Google Advanced Protection Program, if you use Gmail and the Google Workspace. It works with a passkey and security key. If you use Instagram and Facebook more, if you use Meta, there is the Advanced Protection. And for Microsoft users that use Outlook and Microsoft 365, there's the Account Guard. For the sake of time, I will only talk about the Google Advanced Protection Program for a second. But it has 3 pillars that are also helping you as a high-risk user to stay safe. So first of all, there is additional login security. So you have to have a passkey. You have to have a phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication method. Passkey or security key is a must for that. Also, it limits third-party apps. So not every app that is floating around can be connected to your account anymore, because only the verified ones, of course. The connectivity is the productivity is still there, but dodgy apps will be blocked in here as well. So only verified apps by Google will be let into your account. And lastly, you get extra protection from malware. You get even more extra additional protection when you download a risky file, so it won't breach your organization. And it even scans your emails a bit more than usual. So you have these 3 things. You have higher level of MFA at the beginning. it limits third-party apps only to the verified ones, and then you get the extra protection via malware. And this, together with setting up multi-factor, is a good way for you as high-risk users to be safe on the internet. It's not a hard way. You can just Google Advanced Protection Program, and then you can enroll to it. It's free and not a hard thing to set up. And I can really encourage you to do so, to stay safe and have your organization stay safe. Before we come to questions, I have one small slide with recommendations for you today. First of all, I want you to think before you click. I know this is I said it quite a lot of times, but it is the truth that most attacks start with social engineering, start with a phishing attempt. And take the time to verify a message, verify every link that you have, because otherwise you might get a problem. And then I want you to activate multi-factor authentication, and if you can, advanced protection programs, because then even with a stolen password, the attackers won't get into your account. And lastly, we haven't had the time to talk about this properly, but please keep your system updated. Do the security updates on your devices to close down known vulnerabilities and to protect these devices. That's a thing that's also very important. So it's 10 minutes now. 10 minutes are left, and we can now open for more questions. On the right side, we have a small QR code where you can rate my workshop. But if you have any questions, you can type them in chat, or you can unmute yourself, and Sinan will maybe moderate that. But you can also just type in chat, or you can just unmute yourself, and I will try to answer as good as I can. People are probably typing right now, but you don't need to be shy. If you have a question, please come forward. No one is asking a question, so maybe I'm threatening. I feel like I was either too confusing, or it was everything so clear that there are no more questions. Sinan, what did you want to say?
Niklas, there was one question in the chat earlier when we talked about password managers, and I'd be happy to maybe address it quickly.
Please, I answered it very shortly, but you can go and do it a bit more in a bit more depth. Please go.
The question was, and thank you, Sega, for this question in the chat. So your question was regarding the password managers and how do we know it's a secure offering, the password manager. And well, we would basically have three recommendations here. One is to make sure that the offering, so for example, Google Password or 1Password, Bitwarden, like what the different options are, offer adequate encryption technology. So end-to-end encryption, zero knowledge architecture, for example. Those are like more techie kind of things that you can research on the sides of the providers. Secondly, what does the provider also offer in terms of independent audits of third parties, for example? So some of the providers have a better reputation than others and go through, for example, third-party verification processes. So that's the second recommendation to check. And thirdly, what's the method and the offering, the service for you to access the password? So does the password manager, for example, offer a passkey themselves to log into the password manager, and what's the kind of security level of the login process? And by bringing these together, there are various providers out there where you can be sure that they're up to date and secure. I hope that answers your question.
Well, thank you, Sinan, for this very elaborate answer. Are there any more questions? Now's the time. We still have a bit of time left. So if you have any pressing questions, what you always wanted to know about cybersecurity, now is your chance to ask away, and we can try to answer it. But if there are no more questions, we can also close this round. And I can thank you all very much for coming. And I know that you have a very busy schedule, so I'm very, very happy that you took the hour out of your calendar to listen to us. And yeah, I hope you have you learned a bit, you learned something about cybersecurity, and you feel a bit more safe online right now. And yeah, I wish you all a great rest of the week, and have a good time. Bye. See you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks everyone for participating.